Doma Sports Talk Worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now, let's talk a little Billy Joe Saunders, right? Billy Joe Saunders is the super middleweight champion WBO style, right? He's managed now by your boy Eddie Hearn. Now, Eddie Hearn has secured him a fight in May, Cinco de Mayo, around that time with Canelo Alvarez, the face of boxing, the number one pound for pound for many people, right? so, what I'm saying is it's all bad news. I've read something, and the bad news is that Billy Joe Saunders is basically not going to have a fight before then, right? So, Canelo's going to fight on the 27th of February against Admiral Yildirim, which is not a, if he wins, it's not a big one. He's supposed to win that. And Billy Joe is not going to be coming off any momentum. Billy Joe will come off a fight with Martin Murray, and before that, Coceres and Isufa and whatever, right? And there's no momentum. The only thing about it is that it will be a belt on the line. Your boy Billy Joe Saunders should have had to fight from the WBO, Demetrius Andrade, who's the 160-pound champion WBO style, who hasn't been able to get a fight. They were supposed to fight in February, but nothing happened. Billy Joe didn't answer once Andrade answered him. So, and then Billy Joe is the one who gets this fight. Now, Billy Joe Saunders shouldn't be getting this fight for a lot of reasons. Right now, this is what Eddie Hearn is saying. Eddie Hearn is begging the man, begging him to stay off of the internet, basically stay off social media and focus on Canelo. Now, your promoter will have to say this. Why? Why would he have to say this? Because it's Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders has been doped once, if not twice. I just can't remember the other one, but he's been doped. And he's made a whole bunch of transgressions or faux pas in the internet. His latest being saying something about Barry McGuigan, who most people in England know, about his daughter. Barry McGuigan's daughter passed away, and because Barry McGuigan said something about, long story, this alleged mob boss that's doing a lot in boxing is Daniel Kinahan, which everybody should be familiar with. He said something about that. We need to be careful with this. The guy's too strong in boxing. It was a big documentary in Britain about 2 or 3 days ago, and everybody's talking about it. And so Barry McGuigan aired his concerns. And so basically, Billy Joe said something that was kind of, it wasn't 100%, but people who knew said he was probably talking about Barry McGuigan's daughter who passed away not too long ago. And he also called Barry McGuigan a rat, right? And, things like that is what you don't want to do, because they're talking about a mob guy, and you're going to say Barry McGuigan is a rat. Normally, a rat means you're telling on somebody, right? That's done something. You wouldn't call anybody a rat if someone hasn't done anything. He shouldn't have, really done that. And then we know about his other internet faux pas with, how to beat up your girlfriend and during the pandemic, and offering a crackhead some money to do something silly. So Billy Joe has done a lot of things. He just gets suspended for a couple of weeks, and he's able to come back. And he's getting fights in front of people that are there, just been wanting to fight Canelo, that's not been doped, and got a clean slate. It's just not fair. So that's why we're going to keep talking about it. Now, when it comes to Billy Joe Saunders, for me, I'll say the same thing. When the guy's motivated, he's a great fighter. Great fighter, right? He has a lot of notable wins in his career. Not lately. The last 4 or 5 has just not been that much. But after David Lemieux, about his 5th fight ago, like the last 5 fights, I think that David Lemieux was a good fight, a good win, because David Lemieux got that punching power, but he made David Lemieux look pedestrian, very pedestrian. And so much so that Canelo was like, I ain't fighting Billy Joe Saunders, he's a runner. That's what him and his team said back then. But he has, he beat Willie Monroe, who's also a boxer. But he, showed that I'm a better boxer than Billy Monroe. That was kind of a good win. Billy Monroe was 21-2 at the time. A win over Andy Lee, when Andy Lee was Andy Lee. I think it was 34-2 at the time. That's a majority decision win, but he won. He has a win over Chris Eubank Jr., when Chris Eubank Jr. was undefeated. It's a split decision, but he beat him, right? That's something. Blandamora was 22-0, right? He beat him too. He beat Gary O'Sullivan when he was undefeated. These are not big super names, but when they were undefeated. John Ryder, he beat him when he was 15-0. Now John Ryder is the guy who a lot of people think beat Callum Smith in his last fight. So those are pretty some wins that he has, right? You know, those are a lot of O's. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 O's, and I've seen another one on his record. So you know, 4 or 5 O's. You know, Billy Joe is that, but I don't think Billy Joe is deserving of a title match until he acts correctly. I think he should fight before, and Canelo and them don't want him to. I told you in many videos he should have to fight Andre before, and the winner of that fight, Canelo. That would be so much momentum going in that fight. That Cinco de Mayo fight would be huge if someone who Andre and Billy Joe would fight, and would have the winner of that. But it's not going to happen. I know they're going to sit him on the shelf and just make him wait. Same thing's going to happen to Caleb Plant. I've told you before. Caleb Plant ain't to September, right? His fight's in September. They ain't gonna let Caleb Plant fight unless Caleb Plant call me. He ain't gonna be able to fight nobody decent before September. Watch what I tell you. Canelo has spoken, and that we have to just make sure that we focus on that and mention that. You know, because that neither one of those fights are going to be big now. Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders without Billy Joe Saunders having a fight before, not going to be big. Canelo versus Caleb Plant without Caleb Plant having a fight before, not going to be big. Mark my words. Done with Sports Talk Worldwide, and I'm up out of here, y'all.